What's up? What's up? Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're going to be talking spoilers, all spoilers for Scream 6, Kills with Me, and Coriander, of course. Guys,
No,
what's going on?
Not much. Not
not
much.
much.
All right. All right.
Ready to talk
Um,
Scream.
yeah. So, we've been really fortunate to have gone through the whole franchise and just having some really interesting discussions. And now with the latest installment and Kill, you just saw it. So we haven't even talked about what you think. So this is going to be, as
Yeah.
usual, when we do reviews, we don't really talk with each other much until we just get on live. So it's going to be interesting to see what you thought of the movie as well. Um, Real quick, just to say a blanket hello to the folks in the live chat. Hope you guys are doing good. We got Blucka's in the chat. What's going on?
Hello.
And
Hey,
Blackest Eyes. What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me. We got Lisa. Lisa's in the chat. What's going on, Lisa?
hey.
And Jen. What's going on, Jen? Um,
Hello.
Jen's dealing with this horrific storm that we're dealing with too. So we're gonna hope and pray
Yeah.
that this storm lets up. Also, we're gonna hope and pray that it doesn't interrupt this stream. So just bear with us. Like power could go out at any time. Who knows? Uh, and we, I'm just saying. And we got the generals in the chat. What's going on,
Hey.
Val? Good to
Hey.
see you. Good to see you. Letting people know, hit the like button, subscribe, and so forth. Keep up with the rules because you know what happens if you don't follow the rules.
Let the dangertainment begin out
There it is.
God.
There.
I love it.
What?
I love
What?
it. Anytime you got Buster, man, it brings a smile.
That's right. That's right.
Does it?
Uh,
It does. It does. Come on.
Stop it.
Come on.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh
Um,
man.
and Val, thank you so much. Putting the link for our Patreon in the live chat. And definitely, if you guys would like to help support the channel, keep the lights on, that is a way that you can do it. We really appreciate it. And I think we caught up with everyone. Russell, what's up, Russell? Good to see you.
Hey.
Always there. Jason's in the chat too. What's going on? What's going on, Jason?
Hello.
Polar's in the chat. What's going on, Polar? I know she has a lot of
Hi.
thoughts about Scream 6. We're going to be hopefully having a few guests jumping on the panel and so forth. So that'll be soon. So guys, let's start this thing off. Jason Dyer too. What's going on, Jason? And we got Bob. Bob's in the
Hey.
chat. And Sarah. Okay.
Hello.
Coriander, let's start with
Yeah.
you. Give me your overall thoughts on this movie and what your experience was with it.
Oh God. My experience with 5 was terrible. So this
Okay.
was a pleasant surprise and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kill, how about you, man? I mean, we haven't talked about this at all. What's your take?
I am the total opposite of Coriander.
Okay.
I really liked 5. This one
Okay.
was a little predictable, was not
Oh.
scary. It still was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It was entertaining, but it wasn't scary. And it's the most violent Ghostface we've seen, which is a plus. But
Mhm.
I'll go deeper.
Okay. All right. All right. I think, and we talked a little bit about this last week. I think that this was a really fun experience. As far as going to see it in the theater. For me, I'm of the mind that all 6 of these movies are really good. This is easily one of the most consistent franchises. Especially in horror, as far as the legacy franchises for sure. But for me, 5, although it was good, to me, you could get the sense that Radio Silence had to do their Wes Craven movie. You get what I'm saying? They had to bridge the gap because obviously, they wanted to pay respect to the late great Wes Craven, and you could see that in 5. To me, this movie, and they've even talked about it, where they were able to be more free and have their own stamp on this movie. This movie is easily the most different in my opinion, of the 6. This movie is easily the most different. It has a different type of energy to it as well. And I think for me, and we'll talk more about it, but to me, I think that I cared about the characters in this movie more than 5. Now, part of that could be because in 5 we had so many damn characters. I didn't really get to get close to the Meeks twins. I didn't really get close to Sam or Tara in the first in 5 as well. Part of that too is because we had the OG 3. We had all 3 of them in the movie. Although Courtney and Nev didn't have a lot to do until the 3rd act, but David, had a lot to do in the first half of 5. So by not having that as part of the equation, I think it allowed 6 to really go deeper into what they've called the core 4. Again, shout out to our good friend Steven from Craven Something Scary, who coined that phrase months and months and months and months ago. When I saw it in the theater, Corey, and I don't know if you remember, but when
I
Chad
do.
said, you do remember, okay, when
I
Chad
do.
said, come on, bring it in, we're the core 4, I lit up and I was like, oh my God, Steven called them that. And I really got a sense that they were a team. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's why, or that's one of the reasons I should say, that I enjoyed 6 a lot more than 5. To me, 6 has a lot more rewatchability. What I can't wait to do is watch 5 and then 6, in a row and kind of get a vibe and see what I think of it then. But Coriander, let's talk about some of the characters. Did you have any characters in the movie that were standouts to you?
Um, I really liked was it the oldest sister Sam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I liked her character. I liked Tara's too. Um, so I mean, I enjoyed all these guys. I really don't think that Courtney, Gail had to be in this. I think it's too
Mhm.
bad that she was. Um, really, her character is like the only, and the fact that in her apartment, I don't know, I just figured she'd be more accurate and wouldn't do a couple of the dumb things that happened.
Okay.
And she should have died. I'm sorry, but she should have
She-
died. So
well,
anyway,
let me tell you why she didn't die.
it's
First
too
of all,
bad.
well, listen, in this, and I said this too, and Radio Silence themselves said this, that they thought that would be just too cruel because obviously they killed Dewey in 5, and at some point you can't just kill everyone. Like
But
somebody
come on,
has to
how many
survive these
times
things.
can you escape Ghostface? I mean,
Well,
every
that's true.
goddamn movie, excuse my French,
All right.
but every movie she's like getting hurt, like getting stabbed and shot, and she's surviving. It's
Yeah,
like, come
that's
on,
true.
man, enough's enough. She just needs to die.
So every person that survives horror movies have to die in legacy
No,
franchises.
no, but there comes a point where it's like, come on. I
Yeah.
mean, you can only pick a ripe apple so many times before you get a worm, right? So,
Okay. All
like,
right.
come on.
How about you, Kill? Did you have any characters that
Ooh.
stood out for you?
So okay, I can see I'm already kind of the outlier here that I didn't like this as much as you guys, and I'm gonna tell you why. For me, the standout was the older sister Sam. Um,
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. One, I really like her character and the journey of her being the daughter of a serial killer, and in
Hmm.
this one, her even grappling with her own darkness. And I'm very interesting to see where they go with that. Um,
Right.
and the things they're alluding to. But it's funny, Knight. You said something where I kind of disagree. You said this one you felt like you got to know the characters more than in the last movie. I
Hmm.
kind of think the opposite because the Meeks twins,
Hmm.
especially the movie horror movie geek one, was very underused in my opinion in this one.
Yeah, I think she was
You know,
definitely out of the core 4. She was the least used. And I think that's
well,
because they let Chad have more spotlight and plus his romance with Tara.
Yeah, and he definitely has more spotlight than he did in the last film, but
Mhm.
he still is kind of a romantic plot device.
Mhm.
I just really didn't think that they did too much with them, and I think in a way it was a little bit the opposite with the last movie because you had a scene in their living room with their mom and you learned about their lineage, and
Mhm.
things of that nature. And of course
Mhm.
the sister, she did her kind of movie rules and so forth, and she did
Mhm.
it in this one, but it kind of was like to me an abridged quicker version, and some people either like that little monologue or they're like, oh, really this again. But I agree with Coriander also with some of the legacy characters and things of that nature. But my
Mhm.
overarching issue with this kind of is, as aggressive as Ghostface is, and once again this is spoilers, people,
Yeah, it's all spoilers.
nobody really dies. People get stabbed and gutted up, and it's like I'm watching The Walking Dead or I'm watching Star Trek, and unless you got a red shirt on, you're gonna die. But if you're if you're the core nucleus, you'll get cut up a lot. But oh, hey, guess what? Coriander Knight's okay, but he got
Right.
stuck like a pig 50 million times.
I
He,
agree
he,
with that.
he pulled
Chad
through,
Chad
and
should have Chad should have died. I had talked about this yesterday. I think that in the movie
He's a
they had that
fighter.
a
Come
couple times.
on.
Well, yeah, they're basically it's basically the Dewey gag, how Dewey would survive each movie after getting
Mm.
stabbed and so forth. But I do
And
think
fucking
if
Gail.
Chad well, yeah, but Dewey was the one that usually got really attacked and survived something that should
he
have
didn't
killed him.
last that
And that
long
And
was
though.
Gail.
and that was a thing where Wes Craven originally Dewey wasn't going to survive, and Wes made that choice early on, and that became like a running gag. But to me, I think Chad should have died, and I think that would have made more weight to the whole connection and with Tara, to the Carpenter sisters in general, but especially that scene where Tara saw him basically being filleted, and I think that he should have. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed him in this movie. I actually enjoyed him in this movie more than Mindy, which was
Yes,
weird because it was flipped for me in 5. I enjoyed Mindy more than Chad in 5.
well,
It's
see,
like,
they
what the
did
hell
more
are
with
they
her
doing?
too.
Flip flopping, huh?
They did more with her too in the last
They
movie.
they did. That's true. They did, which was kind of I don't know. It's interesting. It really really is interesting. But um, I do think that Melissa Barrera as Sam, I think that she was the standout in this movie, and I want to say that I'm really glad that she was, because when you have a lead, that quote unquote final girl, you really want to be behind that final girl. But in 5, I wasn't as invested in her. Now, part of that was because of the way that they depicted her. She's struggling with her mental illness and all that, and I get it. So she was kind of a subdued character. But in this movie, she wasn't playing around. She was badass, and she was taking charge. And it seemed to me that the relationship she had with her sister, we had more to feel for. They actually took some time in this movie, a couple of conversations and heartfelt moments to me that resonated more. So when we get to the third act in the shrine, I cared about them more. Whereas in 5, I was just along for the ride. Speaking of which, and let me just jump into the chat too. I know these guys are hanging out. We got Jamie's in the chat and Heroic Waffles. What's going on,
Hello.
man? What's going on, man? Castellar's in the chat saying Leslie Mocker is out there. No doubt about that. Tori,
All right.
what's up? What's up? Good to see you. And we also have a couple other people jumping in. Don't forget to hit the like button. That would help to support us. Rickwan's in the chat. What's going on?
Hello.
Jason saying this story is a supposed cult. Is far from over. I think at least 2 of the core 4 will die in 7. There's a mastermind that is going to reveal themselves in 7. A cloud of doom seemed to hover. That is a good point, man. At the end of the movie, they definitely, started to kind of give you a sense of that. I mean, guys, here's the thing that I also enjoyed. Let's talk about this for a second. We had technically 6 Ghostface killers in this film. We've never had that. and we have been talking a lot about that for a long time. That I know I've talked about it. I wanted at least three,
Wasn't
right?
it 5?
Well, was it? So we had Tony Revelleri, Jason. You get it, Jason, right? His buddy Greg, right? And then we had the Baileys, right? But we did have Sam make a kill in the Ghostface costume
Okay.
that was literally about as violent as any other Ghostface I've ever seen. Now I'm just playing.
Touche.
We definitely got 5, but even Radio Silence said, "Well, hey, maybe it's 6. Don't forget about Sam." Which to be honest, until I heard them
It
say that,
counts.
I never thought about that until I actually heard Radio Silence themselves say,
I mean, if she
Sam.
wasn't wearing the costume and stabbed him, no, that
Right.
wouldn't be anything.
So
Now
then
But
you
she
know
was
the
what?
wearing it.
friend
Now,
that was in the refrigerator, was he wearing it?
no, but he was a Ghostface killer. Stop it. But let me just say this. Let me just say this, Coriander. What you just said is exactly the way they rationalized it, because she had the
Mm.
costume on, she had the mask on, and she made a kill, and so they said. So that's interesting. You said it like that. You're all right. Um, Speaking of which, man, the other thing too that I talked. Well, first of all, I'll start with you, Coriander, then Kill, and then we've got some guests that we're going to bring on too. First of all, what did you think about the fact that we finally had more than 2 Ghostface killers and how they operated? What did you think about that, Coriander? Because I've always wanted more than just 2.
Yeah, yeah. Like I knew there was definitely two, but the
Hmm.
third one, that was a surprise. The daughter, I thought when she got killed, I thought that was it. You
Yeah,
know, so
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I enjoyed that there was three. I thought they did it pretty damn good. They handled it well.
I think so too. I think so too. Kill, what did you think about having multiple Ghostface killers?
Look, Michael Myers can do it all by himself. At least up until this last
What?
movie where he's trying to transfer the evil. Jason always does it, but no, I'm just kidding. No, I liked it because it added another element,
Yeah.
and I wasn't expecting it.
Mhm.
And it shouts out to what was it, Roman, who was the only single
But
Ghostface.
but was he though? Angeline,
Yeah,
Hey,
listen, hold
no.
on. Hold on.
Roman,
Look,
shouts out to you, sir.
listen, unless Roman has been studying under Harry Potter and
Hey,
learning how to transport, there is no
hey.
way.
Well,
Listen, and I just watched 3 what was it, 2 weeks ago, Coriander? Our good friend Steven with his watch party for Scream 3.
Yep.
And listen,
Yep.
man, that one scene, and I'm going on a rant here, I'm sorry, but I've said this so many times. That one scene where Ghostface is chasing Sydney, right? And she kind of gets him to stumble and whatever. And she runs around. This is at the set of her old house, right?
Mhm.
On set. She runs around the corner to the door to go into the set. Why wouldn't Ghostface chase Sydney? Instead, what happens is Ghostface comes out of inside of the set. It makes no. There's 2 Ghostface killers, but of course, only one is revealed, and the Weinsteins only wanted one. But I think Wes was like, "Screw you guys! I'm still gonna shoot this in a certain way with the
See, you just
audience."
missed the back door, right? He went through a back door, got in that
So,
closet.
so you think that was only Roman?
No, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
well,
We don't know if there
He's
isn't some kind of an
he's
entrance from the back of that
Yeah,
set
but
house.
listen, he'd have to. But let me ask you this: how did he know Sydney would go into the house? She could have just kept
Because
on
she
running.
started, didn't he wasn't chasing her at that point?
He stumbled near like a table with drinks, and then she ran away. And then
Yeah.
next thing you know, he appears from inside the house. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm chasing you, I'm not going to turn and go the other way. I'm going to keep chasing you. Sydney's not
Well, he
Carl
made the
Lewis.
right choice, because
They made the right choice.
well, look.
I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Kill.
The last thing I wanted to say in regards to your question about the killers in this one
Yeah.
is, now that the Carpenter sisters have taken out literally this entire family,
Hmm.
Yeah.
is Grandma going to be Ghostface in the next one? because
I
it's
don't
always
know.
somebody related to
Oh, God.
somebody. I mean, like, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys,
It'll
but I
be
knew
Grandpa Stu.
I knew I knew Ghostface was related to the killer from the last movie. I just
Well,
knew it,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was just like, and for me, I was like, if I'm right, that's not a good thing if I'm right.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was just like,
Exactly.
well, damn.
Well, I will say that the motive, and I know we're going on a little bit more here, but I will say the motive for me wasn't the shining star of the movie. Like I
Yeah.
think at this point in the franchise, they need to rehaul their motives, just like in this movie they rehauled some of the formula as far as the Ghostface killers and what they do and how many there are and
Well,
their intensity.
I mean, essentially, this is a Scream 2 remake, and they even address it as much as like, oh,
That's true.
now we're in college, and the Ghostface in this is the parent
Yep,
of the killer from the previous movie, and
that's
it's like,
true.
okay, it's the family of the killer of the previous movie. So,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Now, and Tori was saying something too, saying I knew Quinn's death was a fake out as soon as I saw it. And let me just
Oh,
say this too. In the trailer, because they had in the trailers or in some of the TV spots, they show that scene where Ghostface comes up to the door, which is a fantastic cinematic scene where he comes up to the door through the glass pane window and stuff like that. Now, in that trailer, when he attacks, you can see a little bit of the outfit, and they really pulled a switcheroo on us because that outfit, you see Quinn in that outfit in a scene where she's hanging out with the core four, but what we didn't see is Henry Czerny as Dr. Stone. He had on PJs that looked almost just like it, like that same design, the white with some red in it, red dots or heart, whatever it is, which really that threw me off because I thought, based upon what I saw in the trailers, that Quinn was going to die, or at least be attacked. I didn't know for sure if she was going to die, but it was kind of, in other words, what I'm saying is I think that they were very smart in the marketing to hide so many things, because with this movie it's always about the mystery and so forth. Scott's in the chat too. What's up, Scott? Good to see you.
Yeah.
And Val, thank you for putting the link down. Tomorrow night we are heading to Freddy's Dead, and there could never be a better time to join us as we go off.
Whew.
And yeah, Jamie saying I refuse to believe Roman had a partner. He's my favorite Ghostface. Okay, all right. Jason saying, question, now that 6 is over and 7's on its way, can we talk about Phantasm? Well,
Yes.
we did do the Phantasm watch party now, so we're gonna be talking about Phantasm 2. That's what we're gonna boy.
Wow.
Was that pretty good?
That was
Play a
bad.
good game, boy.
Play a good game, boy. But now the game is finished. Okay, what's up, Jen? Good
All
to see
right.
you. Bones is in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. All right.
Hey.
The Final Nightmare is the cartoon version of Freddy. We'll definitely be definitely getting into that. Jennifer saying, I think they have a tight movie except for the motive. I really hope they do better for 7. I do too. I really do too. Yeah. What's up? Marcus is in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hashtag Quinn didn't stab Gail. Okay. Hey, you know what? And I will say this. Let me just say this real quick. And I want to bring on the panel guest. Radio Silence, they kind of talked about the whole idea, and what we're going to do when we get the guest on, we'll talk about who killed who and stuff like that. But obviously in the movie, Quinn at the end had said that she was the one that killed Gail, and Radio Silence had talked about that was kind of their Amber moment, like in 5 when Amber killed Dewey. And there are a lot of people that were like, well, someone of that stature couldn't kill someone bigger than them. Now, to me, things are possible, and that's just talking about it in a combat way of looking at it. Like when you're crazy and you're just like on the edge and kill, I think where I'm going with this, especially as a martial artist. I've seen small people do a lot of bad things to bigger people. I've done it myself to bigger people. So no, I'm not saying that, like Quinn or Amber that they're friggin' combat fighters, because they're not. But I'm just saying is that things can be possible. What do you think of that, Kill?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially if you're insane.
Well, okay, well there you go.
Yeah, you're insane. You have yeah, you have a blade, you have a knife, and you have surprise on your side.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing too, and I spoke about this live with the collective yesterday. When you get scared in that fight or flight, like you can be doing things, but your mind is working in a different zone, so to
Yes.
speak. You know what I mean? Like I've had that happen to myself. Like I know what I need to do, but sometimes I just don't do it, which is also, and again, all of this is to suspend disbelief. It's a horror movie. These are the things that you're supposed to say, okay, I'll roll with that. But you know, you don't always make the best choices when you're scared, when you're frantic, when you're anxious, and someone's literally trying to take your life. So that's par for the course too. All right. So I do want to talk about who we thought did what in the film. And for you guys in the chat, you guys can give us your thoughts as well. But let's bring on some of our guests so we can have some fun with these guys too. Let's bring them on. We're going to start off with Bob from Hunting for Entertainment, one of our longest running supporters. What's going on, Bob?
Hey, nothing much.
Yeah.
Just very excited to be talking about Scream 6 finally.
I know you are,
Nice.
man. Like everyone's been like, just waiting to let this thing go because obviously there was all the fear of spoilers being out there on social media and everything. So, all right. So, and we also have our good friend Sarah, just Sarah, coming in. What's going on, Sarah?
Nice.
Hey.
Hello.
Good to have you. Good to have
Hey,
you.
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. All
Nice.
right. Well, we're glad you could join in. And we also have our good friend, Bye-bye, Polar. What's going on, Polar? Good to have you jumping in with us.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Good.
Hello.
Good.
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 Can you see me or am I a black screen?
We can definitely see you.
Awesome. First time
Yeah.
ever.
Well, and like I said, we got a storm here and stuff like that. So hopefully nothing happens to the stream. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. That's what we're going to do. But we'll see what happens. But let me do this.
I was going to say, I might lose power. I've lost it 4 or 5 times tonight, so I might
Really?
go black.
Wow.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
Same here. Bad storm here in Jersey.
Same here. It's a bad storm here too. So hopefully, if the whole thing goes black, you guys are gonna know why. I'm telling you. And hey, what's up, Brandon from I Like Scaries in the chat saying, "What's up, guys? What's going on, man? What's
Hello.
going on?" All right. Russ is in the chat. Rusty's in the chat saying, "How would you guys rank this one with the others? For me personally, I think it may have bumped up to number 2 after the second viewing." Wow. All right. Well, I will say this. I really enjoyed this movie. I've got to see it. I've got to see it a couple more times to really solidify my rankings, which I do want to do. But I definitely enjoyed it more than 5. I can tell you that. That's how I'm looking at it. How about for you guys? We can just kind of go around. We can go with you, Polar, then Sarah, then Bob, then Coriander, and then Kill.
Okay. As far as ranking, I have a hard time ranking this franchise now since Nev's not in it anymore. Because I feel like I'm gonna be a little biased there. I like it more than 5, like you said. I feel like out of all of them though, it has the worst third act. So I don't think it's going to become my number 2 or anything like that. It'll probably hit behind all the ones. So it's going to be before 5, which is my least favorite.
Okay. All right. How about for you, Sarah?
I am I'm struggling with it being a better movie than maybe 4 and 5, but I just love seeing the legacy so much. So I think right now I have them still ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5. It was definitely better than 5, and I might bump it up if I see it a few more times and kind of let it settle in.
Okay. All right. Very, very cool. How about you, Bob?
For me, It's not better than 5 to me personally, but it has moved up to number 3. So 4 is now fallen into that unfortunate spot of falling behind now. And the reason for me being 5 is so much better is being that victim. Like, we see the transformation here in 6,
Mm-hmm.
but it was too predictable. That's my
Mhm.
biggest complaint.
Okay.
I love it, but it was just too predictable.
What was one of the most predictable things for you?
As soon as Sam got the call from Richie, I knew it had to be someone that was related to him.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just that connected all the dots, and I'm like,
I
it's
agree.
gonna be that cop because I'm too shady of him, especially when he said, "Jack, go check them records for
Yeah.
something," and it just clicked at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And Coriander, I'll get to you in a second. But the other thing too is I also thought to myself, well, Richie is Radio Silence's Ghostface. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it would so that would make sense too. Like there was too many things that logically lined up to let me know that this was going to be connected to Richie rather than to, let's say, Roman or Jill, which I was kind of hoping we were going to have a connection, a more of a bigger connection to 3 or 4. But yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. Coriander, how about you? How do you look at this one? Like, you don't have to give your whole ranking, but
Oh yeah,
does
no.
this one, where does this one land for you?
This one I enjoyed way more than 5. So yeah,
Okay.
and to rank it, yeah, I'd have to think about it.
Okay.
So
All right. Kill.
I mean, I kind of already voiced it, but I agree. The third act of this one to me was a little weak. It was very predictable, and just like Bob said, when they called from Richie's phone, I'm like, wow, that means one of his loved ones has his belongings. To me that just raised the total red flag of okay, or the fact that they're implicating him, it must be someone related to him. So for me, that was like a dead giveaway in a franchise where I never guessed the killer. This is the first Scream movie that I have actually guessed it, and I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
And
I feel the same.
yeah. So I still like the 5th one more than this one. So I'm not going to give my ranking now, but
Yeah.
I have a soft spot in my heart for number 4 because I really like that one a lot. And this one was good. This is the most violent Ghostface we've ever had, and it was very gory, and I loved it. So
yeah, man, the practical and the stuff that they did where they didn't cut away from things, I thought was absolutely fantastic. But here's my thing too. Now, the fact that it was a family, like an actual family, father and two children, I thought that was a good twist because I didn't necessarily see that coming. I thought, and I had talked about this for a while, I thought one of the killers was going to kind of be outside of connections, like maybe someone who was just someone who was more like hired, and kind of like just along for the ride, maybe a patsy. So the fact that it was, Dermot and the 2 children, I thought that was pretty cool. So that kind of came out of left field for me. But I agree. What were you gonna say?
You thought it was going to be like the second movie, the Patsy that was with Mrs. Loomis?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something, but I thought it was going to be more so instead of someone that's just totally just a psycho or serial killer like Mickey, I thought it was going to be someone who was going to also be just very tactical. Obviously, Dermot as a cop, and we'll get into that in a second, but obviously he's very capable. And I thought that there was going to be someone else that was, kind of like a friggin' ex-military or something like that. Because I thought that would have been kind of an interesting take, but of course we didn't see that. Jamie, I'm small. If someone attacks me, they're gonna get hurt.
That's right.
That's God. Oh man. Mark is saying, did you see the number that showed up on Gail's phone had a 707 area code, much like everyone in Woodsboro did in 5. Hashtag Stu lives. Oh my God. Yeah, listen. Well, let me throw this around to you guys. And Polar, I'll start with you. Do you think that Stu is still alive? And they addressed this in the movie a couple of times. And to me, what was interesting is they addressed it in both ways.
They did. They left it open.
They did.
Yeah, I almost wore my Stew Train shirt, but unfortunately it's still dirty from wearing it to the theater, getting a lot of questions. I absolutely think he's alive.
Okay. All right. Okay. How about for you, Sarah? Do you think that Stu is still alive, or is he dead?
I think they left it open enough that
Yeah.
I'm like 60-40 now. I'm leaning to him being alive, but I think they're
Okay.
doing like a good job at keeping us really interested if he's not alive.
Yeah. Agreed. How about you, Bob?
I'm 100% sold he's going to be in it. I think he's still alive.
Okay. All right. How about you, Coriander?
Well, I mean, I kind of said it earlier, right? Grandpa Stu, so.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Kill?
Well, look, one thing this franchise has shown is don't ever count anyone out. Shouts out to Kirby. So
Right.
yeah, Stu is still alive. It's
Yeah. Well, what was interesting is that Radio Silence themselves talked about it. You have that scene where you have the board, and it's funny because on the collective we were talking about. Of course, my good friend and brother Fate was quick to say, "It said he's dead. It said he's dead."
Mhm.
But what I didn't say on the collective, because I knew we'd go down a rabbit hole, is that of course it's gonna say he's dead on the board.
Yeah, if they tell us
Obviously.
that he's alive, then everyone's going to know what to expect. They have
Right.
to have that element of surprise.
Right. And
And
so
I don't think they also want people that aren't on that train to go all the way into 7. Oh, God, here we go. They're going to mess up Stu being back. They're going to do that.
right.
And it's going to cause more chaos on them to get it right than what they have, and it might force their hands in the wrong way. It'll
Yes.
appease that side, too, and you can't appease both sides.
True enough. Well, and also the scene where Kirby and Mindy were talking, and Kirby alluded to him being dead, and Mindy said, "Well, that's if you think he's," or I forgot how they worded, but that's if you think he's dead, or something like that.
Mhm.
And then,
Yeah.
and then, of course, at the end, the kill with Ethan with the TV, the literal TV to the head. But the writer said that was more about because they were talking about how I think it was Mindy, or maybe no, Kirby said I saw that in a scary movie once or something like that. And so that was more about that rather than trying to say whether or not, or trying to say that that could have killed Stu. So the point I'm saying, and even Kevin Williamson has backtracked, saying, "Well, I'll never say never." You know what I mean? So it's definitely open. Whether or not they pull the trigger, that could be a different story. But I definitely think that he could still be alive. There's no doubt about that.
They got to act though this movie because, like you said, Grandpa Stu, like
Yes.
he's getting up there in age, so let's act now.
That's right. Absolutely.
Well,
All right.
also
So
depends. They might have more films lined up past this too, and they really do end it on a cliffhanger. What if they want to do it with
Ooh.
Nev coming back? So they
Oh,
deliberately
God.
set it up for people.
If they do
Just
it
saying.
without Nev, I will not be a fan. Nev needs to be. It's kind of like when Roman revealed himself to Sydney and she gave him the like, "Who the F are you?" look.
Uh-huh.
I don't want that with the Stu reveal. I want Sydney there to fight him on last time.
I don't
You
know.
know, like they said, in this movie, she wants her happy ending and she's gone. I'm
Mhm.
hoping it stays that way. For me personally.
Look,
Not
Nev
just
has
that,
to Nev has to come back. She has to fight
No.
Stu and throw
No.
wait, and throw him into a compactor, and everyone yells, "Evil dies tonight."
No.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Oh God, no!
That would be
Yeah.
pretty funny though.
But going back
Exactly.
But going back to what
Hey, how much
Colin
more
was
time
saying,
do you give?
I have to disagree. You don't have to do it with Nev in it.
No, it just
Billy
wouldn't have
gets
the
all
same
the
punch
credit.
for me.
All you
I'm
have to
saying.
do is go after Sam, who's literally the daughter that you really don't need Sydney in there anymore.
Well,
No,
how
you
about this?
don't.
How about this? Sam, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is kind of going to the dark side.
Mhm.
What if
Right.
Sam goes after Nev?
Oh,
No.
Ah,
Come on,
no.
Sydney
it
would
all-
lay her
No.
out.
I'm gonna say this.
It all comes
with
full
this.
circle. You killed my dad.
She needs to go after Stu, is what she needs to do.
I'm just
Actually,
saying.
I'll say this: if she goes after Sydney would need to die at this point. Personally, I know that's going to upset everybody that's a stand for
She
Sydney,
should have died in 5
but at that
instead of
point,
Dewey.
you're having someone who's more unstable than even Billy was. And I don't want Sam turning evil, but if you're going to do that, kiss Nev out the door because Sydney's got to die.
I so want Sam to go dark. I
do
finally
too.
want to see it.
Man, I thought they were going to do it at the end, man.
Right?
It really looked like and I liked how they kind of went to that edge, you know.
But look how many of the franchises they dance with that. Oh, I'm gonna put Jason's mask on, and then Tommy does nothing.
Right.
Or, oh, I'm learning getting the evil from Michael Myers.
Yeah,
and
Halloween
nothing from
4.
Exactly. Oh yeah. All the cool
follow
stuff.
through.
But this one, let's follow through. And I mean, I just think, like, come on, look at how she murdered.
She murdered.
The final kill. She wasn't the final kill. She was the final Ghostface. She wasn't the final girl. She was the final.
You know, and you know what? I love the fact that because even in the TV spots and trailers, I did not think that was Sam when Ghostface comes from behind that whatever it is, that curtain thing or whatever. And I'm like, wow, it was just cool to just see her in the freaking costume going off.
Come on.
Can we talk about like an alternative ending there? How freaking hilarious would it have been if the police broke in, found her in Ghostface mask, and her ass got arrested?
Or that would have been something.
That would have been something. I would have loved it. I would have like, you redeemed yourself, third act.
Right, absolutely.
I'll say this, but you guys are also counting out one thing. Tara enjoyed stabbing Ethan way too much. She's got that blood too.
Yeah, man, when she friggin' stabbed him in the friggin' mouth, I was like, man, there's a lot of stabbing.
Did it go through his mouth? I couldn't quite see. I think I did one of these.
Oh, yeah, right? Oh, yeah, and then she twisted. I'm like, damn, girl.
Yeah.
It's
there was
in
a
the blood.
lot of, like, head stabbings going on in this one.
Can I just...
It was head or it was guts. It was nothing else.
Yes. One thing that was, and real quick, hey to Angie. Angie's in the chat too. What's going on?
Hey.
Can I just say, to me, the apartment scene, the invasion scene, that was pretty good, man.
That was intense.
Loved it.
I thought, listen, now let me explain why, and then I want to get into a couple of the kills specifically. Number one, I was invested in the characters so much at this point, and that's what I mean by, I thought that the way they did the movie in general, I thought they did a really good job because they really got me so invested in the core four. Like, you know, we got reacquainted with them and they had, you know, really good scenes together and heartfelt moments between the sisters, and I'm all on board. And, you know, the Sam is much better in this movie, and Chad. And anyways, man, I was on the edge of my seat. You know, I was like, oh my God, get out of there, get out of there. And then of course the ladder scene, and wow. Damn, man. I thought that was such a great scene. One of the standouts for me in the movie. What did you guys think of it?
Loved it.
Right?
Loved it.
I mean,
perfection.
Yeah, it made me think of Jumanji too, though, the scene with the rock where he's shaking the monkeys off from the rope ladder. So like I just started laughing because that's how I'm ADD. Like my mind's going everywhere. If you have some form of a reference, even if it's unintentional, I'm going there. So I started laughing once that clicked, but I still loved it. That entire apartment scene was amazing. One of the best scenes, best tension.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I loved was Ghostface's body language. When he sees, I forget which character was the last one that was on the ladder.
Oh,
the way,
okay.
Yeah. The way he comes to the window and kind of does the head tilt, like takes the knife, stabs it down, just kind of without saying anything, like I'm gonna have fun, you know. And he starts like tilting, and it's like, like if I was one of the people trying to pull her in, and we see what she doesn't see, be like, oh crap, like this is not gonna end out well.
Exactly. Yeah. Ghostface looked so good in this film. Like, I think they really, like, no matter who was quote unquote underneath in the costume, I think every time that because I look at it kind of separately in a way, but Ghostface as an entity was just so well physicalized on camera, the way that they lit Ghostface up. And we've talked about this on the channel many times, and it would not surprise me, but we know how they took a lot of time to make Michael look good in the Halloween movies. As far as the light, I mean, they would spend so much time just to make sure that the lighting would hit the mask the right way. And it looked like to me that the whole team was making sure that Ghostface was just so cinematic in this movie. Just every time that Ghostface was on screen, he just looked, he or she looked like $1 million, to me, which was so cool to see, man. It really, really was.
Mhm.
Oh, man. And hey, we got Twisted Pictures in here too. What's going on? If Chad can survive multiple stab wounds in Scream 5 and 6, he should have died. How the hell can Stu Macher and Joe Roberts not still be alive?
Yeah, that inconsistency between the movies is gonna bite him in the ass.
I think so too. Man.
Just I know they had censorship issues in 4, and one stab would kill you in 4. So it's just, it's too much for me. I'm sorry.
It's crazy.
It's the placement of the knife stab,
Right.
Yeah.
And Jen, you're so right. They definitely would like to bring Stu back just to get a chance to work with Matthew. And Matthew, it's funny too, because even Skeet said that, basically Skeet, everyone said never say never. And Skeet specifically said that would be a great thing if they did it. Anything can happen. And he said, I know Matthew wants it really bad.
Aww.
Which we knew that too. And Coriander, when we got a chance to meet him briefly at the con, man, you could just feel that energy, man. You could tell that he was just ready to just, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you could just tell that he really loves the fans, and he loves this environment. And what better way to kind of, pay that off than make a triumphant return in a Scream movie, you know what I mean? So but let's do this, guys. I want to get a sense of, and hey, what's up to James too in the chat? I want to get a sense of who you guys thought did the killings in the film, because there's been a lot of talk about that as well. Now, obviously, in the beginning of the movie, first of all, I just want to say the early reveal of Jason as a Ghostface, that threw me off. I don't know.
I loved it.
Yep.
I loved it. Like when he took off the mask, Corey, I don't remember what I said, but I think I said something like, "What? What? They're doing?"
Yeah, you
that?
were loud, and it wasn't a very, the theater wasn't. We didn't have too many people, so I'm sure everyone heard you every time you said something or reacted. Yeah,
I was like, "What? Oh my God!" I thought it was fantastic. So obviously, we know that he killed Laura. Samara Weaving, which we predicted that, like I think the whole planet predicted that, which it is what it is. But who do you guys think killed Greg, and who killed Jason?
So before you get into
Revelry.
all this, I'm gonna exit out and say goodbye to y'all, and have a good night, and
all right.
hopefully you guys all survive the storm. Have a good one. No,
I hope so too.
Right.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Who do you guys think killed Greg and Jason? Any
I assume Bailey.
Okay. All right. You thought it was
the
Bailey?
detective. Yeah.
Okay.
I just assumed it was him.
Okay. How about you, Sarah?
I also agree. I think it was Detective Bailey. And can I also just say, I went into the movie with Bailey and Ethan spoiled for me. So the Jason reveal at the beginning was shocking. It was my favorite thing. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. I was like, the spoilers aren't real. The spoilers aren't real. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm glad you said that, Sarah, because I do want to say this, and we all know the landmines we were all trying to avoid as far as spoilers, and so many people, did get spoiled. I was supremely lucky, but I think that also is a credit to the team on this movie to give us, a lot of things going on, so that, like you said, Sarah, you were thinking, okay, it was fake, and you could still enjoy it on that level of quote unquote not knowing. And that's a credit to the movie, because if the movie was the regular Scream formula. You know what I'm saying? And having that attack or kill in the beginning of the movie, and then you just keep going on and on. It's kind of like, okay, I kind of know where this is going. So I think it was another reason why I'm glad that they did some different things in this movie. You know, especially for people that did get spoiled, which is too bad. Really, really is. It is. How about you, Bob? Did you think Bailey was the one that killed Jason and Greg?
I think it was Bailey killing them both as well.
Okay. All right. Kill, how about you?
I think it was the son.
You think it was Ethan?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
Mainly just because of access, him also being a student.
Okay.
Now, I guess every one of these kills, I'm just thinking of like who would have access. And of course, being a detective kind of gets you, access everywhere. But I just think like him being a student, he would be able to do it and kind of blend back in with, I get the frat party or, whatever.
Right.
Okay. Now, see, that's where I was going to go with it too. And also, hey to Katie. Katie's in the chat, popping the popcorn.
Hey, Katie.
Good to see you. And by the way, Katie's back on her YouTube channel, so definitely check her out. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Now, here's the way I was thinking. I was thinking that it couldn't have been Ethan because of the frat party, because, he was kind of hanging out with Chad. And then, as the movie progressed, and when they found out that Jason was killed, and of course, they all knew, each other, then I would have thought, well, at least logically speaking, of course, movies are different, but I would have thought that Chad would have brought that up and said, well, where were you when you left the party, or you didn't, or even if he wasn't at the party at that time and came afterwards, you know what I mean? So I was thinking that's why it wasn't Ethan. We know Quinn was with her boyfriend, you know what I mean? So that's why I was thinking it was Bailey that had killed Jason and Greg. But the other reason too is the call. I think that the call, there was different things that what he was saying that felt like it was Bailey, like it was Dermot Mulroney. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys took the call, but the call just seemed like it had that type of the edge to it that we eventually saw him have.
Well, he specifically said it's not about the movie. So that's in my head what made me think this is someone who it's very personal.
That's a good point.
I guess and granted, the detective could have had the same information when he was asking, well, how long have we known each other? Things of that nature. But I guess I would just think, if he was at the party, he could have kind of dipped out a little bit, did the deed, and he may also know that information on a more easier basis by also being a student than his dad would.
Okay.
And for him, if his brother got killed, he's going to take it pretty personal too.
True.
Like, this is a family of killers now, and they're all taking it extremely personal.
That's a good point too. It definitely could have went that way. It's
one of them. It's definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's either Bailey or Ethan for sure.
Yeah. It's one of the three for sure.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's Quinn. I don't think
that was good, Polar. Oh my god! All right. So, and what's going on to the Drusefs in the chat? The movie was next level fun. While the 3D format to me didn't work, the added in theater effects for 4DX was amazing. That's cool, man. I just saw it in regular.
Yeah. Wayne Turner was commenting on his experience, and he saw it in the 4DX, and he said the ladder scene was amazing because your chair is going crazy with that scene.
Oh,
very cool.
That is cool. Oh my god, I wish now to think about it like that would have been cool to see it like that. Oh my gosh.
Make it happen.
Yeah, right. I know, but you know what?
Not out of theater yet.
Well, that's true too. Hey, I will say this too. I want to go see it again. I do want to go see it again, and that's hopefully going to happen. But I did have a chance to see it in 3D, and I opted not to because I just didn't want to take the chance that it would ruin the experience for me that first time. You know what I'm saying? Because unless it's something like Avatar,
yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know.
Like, I don't want this to be like Friday the 13th all over again,
Right. Right. Hey, what's up to Cheers to Fears in the chat? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Val's working hard. Thanks so much, Val. Putting in the link for Patreon. You're all right. You are all right. Jamie saying everyone keeps talking about Sam having a darkness, but for me, it's reality. If someone attacked me, they're gonna get stabbed 22 times. Is that dark?
Oh, don't mess with Jamie.
Don't mess with Jamie.
Well, it's not just that. If you think about it logically, you're now messing with someone who feels her own sister's threatened too. So now you're drawing out a vigilante type Ghostface in her. Like now, it's not just about her defending herself. Now she has to protect Tara as well.
Yes.
From these people.
And you're having full-on conversations with your dead serial killer dad. You know, who's saying, "Hey, you know, pick up that. It feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, put it on. Yeah." And she's like, "All right, I think I might." You know.
It doesn't help when Bailey's also taunting you to put it on and doing the same thing your hallucinations are doing.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't help either.
Were you guys expecting him to be in the movie? Because I did not expect Billy. I thought that was all resolved and we've moved on.
Unfortunately, that was spoiled for me.
It was?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was due to hit the Skeet Ulrich himself actually posting something on opening day.
Oh,
as soon as I saw he was at the premiere, it kind of ruined it. Oh yeah, he's in it.
Oh gosh.
Well, I kind of assumed that he was going to be in it because of just how prevalent he was in the first one in regards to, you know, his daughter, and I didn't think things were resolved at all.
Yeah,
also in this one, from what we saw, she wasn't taking medication, so that's going to be more persistent.
Right. It didn't. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't know for sure. But when I saw him, I was just like, "Yep, okay, that makes sense." And I assumed if he was going to be in it, it would be that shrine scene, especially when she went up to his costume and stuff. So, you know, it was what I do think. I will say this: I think his inclusion in this movie, for me, it worked a little bit better than in 5. You know what I mean? In general. So I didn't have any issue with it at all. Nathan's in the chat. What's up, Nathan? Saying I really liked Scream 6. Just saw it today for the first time. All right. Very, very cool. All right. Now let's kind of move on too, because I also want to get a chance to talk about some of the other kills that we have. Now here's a list of everyone that we got. Okay. So we got Laura, we got Greg, we got Jason. Now, we've also started to talk about the bodega scene, which was amazing. That was such a cool scene. Personally speaking, I'm going 100% on Dermot. He was the one in that scene. The way he handled that shotgun, gotta be a cop. Gotta be a cop.
Straight up.
All right.
Not just that, the way he was putting down evidence. I mean, you're not going to see Ethan or Quinn doing that. They would somehow mess it up and leave some kind of print of themselves.
Good point. And plus the call beforehand when Tara and Sam were on the street, you know, he literally told them to come down to the what do you call it? The precinct, the station. You know, so I think it was totally Dermot in that scene. And I thought the bodega scene was great, man. It was even better than I thought it was going to be. How about Dr. Stone? And shout out to our boy Henry Czerny. Loved him in Mission Impossible as Kittredge. You've never seen me, angry Kittredge. Anyways, who I thought was not going to be pulling a Henry Winkler in this movie, but he did.
He did.
So he did. I was like, what? You guys just pulled him in for like 3 minutes? But anyways, who do you guys think killed him?
Oh.
Honestly, to me, that could have been either of the siblings.
Wasn't it Quinn? I know you guys said you saw her clothes underneath or something.
Well, Henry Czerny or Dr. Stone, he had on an outfit that was very similar to an outfit that Quinn had on as far as the pattern. That's why when I saw the trailer, I thought that attack was on Quinn instead of, you know, because they really didn't show anything of Henry Czerny anyways in any of the promotion. So, but who do you guys, do you think that Quinn killed Dr. Stone?
I'm going to say it's the brother.
You think it was Ethan? Okay. Sarah, did you
I think it
have
was Detective Bailey. I honestly think he did most of the dirty work.
okay. Okay. How about you, Bob?
I'm actually thinking it was Quinn.
Oh,
Ah.
okay. What makes you think it was Quinn?
Because when you think about it, outside, yeah, we had the small thing with the whole alibi thing from Detective Bailey, but obviously you wouldn't want to get yourself caught. If somehow there is a security thing there, you'd want whoever it is to get away quicker, and they're younger and would have more mobility. And who's
Okay.
better to go get that information? Say, because she's living with Sam, who's to say that file didn't have a different name? She could have easily heard Sam go by an alias to find that file quicker.
Hmm.
Which, as we see, she didn't, but
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
that's just my thought on it.
Okay. Kill, how about you?
I think it was one of the siblings, but I'm leaning towards Quinn.
Okay.
Mainly because for that type of kill that was done, they were kind of banking on him getting close to the door, and boom, acing him out really quick, getting in, sort of like what Bob said, getting in quickly, looking for the information, and then getting out there. Or in regards of if for some reason the kill doesn't go well, she could just run out of the house into the neighborhood, disrobe, and then she's a young lady just kind of going for a stroll. And people might be like, oh well, clearly that's just a nice young lady going to a coffee shop. They're not going to think that she just attempted murder. I mean, and also I think Detective Quinn, the detective, he wouldn't want to put the kids in certain situations where he didn't think that they would succeed.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I
I
never
mean,
thought of it like that.
because this is all strategy. This family has strategized this, and him being a detective, he's probably like sizing each of these kills up. Like okay, you could do this one on a subway. Stabby, blend back in. You could do this one, and I think it was just a lot of strategy there. So,
Now, and this is interesting you said that way, because to me, I was kind of thinking the other way. I was thinking it was Bailey. And the reason I was thinking it was Bailey is because of that conversation he had with Kirby when he was talking about the kill. And he was talking about, got stabbed in the nose, through the nose. And he was kind of like, he had a couple moments where he was kind of edgy, almost as if to allude to his being kind of unhinged. You know what I mean? But what you said kind of does make me think a little bit differently as well. Setting up the kids in situations where they could easily get out of. That could work too. So I don't know. I got to rethink that. You got me thinking now. That's good though. That's good.
In all of the movies, though, there's always one of them who's more the muscle and the other one's the brains.
Right.
So I guess we got to establish which one is muscle and brain. I think he's both. He's the muscle and the brains.
Oh
yeah. I think so too.
But Quinn has been shown to show that psychopath.
That's true. Well, I definitely think he and Quinn were. I think Ethan was the plant. You get what I'm saying? He was kind of I don't want to say infiltrator, but he was kind of always around.
He stayed in play.
He stayed in play, and he was the easy suspect, right? And the whole idea was kind of keep the focus on him, where Bailey could kind of do what he has to do, and of course, in the invasion scene, fake Quinn's death, and so that took her off the table. You get what I'm saying?
And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, out of all three of them, she's the scariest.
She was scary at the end.
I mean, yeah, exactly. At the end, I mean, she's upset. Her brother's dead, and she was like, "Let's do this." I'm like, okay.
Especially when her teeth are all knocked out.
Exactly. So
I'm ready to rumble.
So Quinn, you are muscle,
dude.
You might be small, but you tough.
Exactly. Don't mess with the small ones.
Yeah. No, I think that she was absolutely fantastic in that scene. Shout out to Liana, because I didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? I was like, man, it's too bad we didn't get get more time with her because she's literally a nutball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Real
Love
quick too, Jason was saying Jason's reveal with Laura's kill threw me big time. I think Detective Bailey killed Greg and Jason as well as Tara's therapist, Quinn, Mindy, her boyfriend in the tub, Ethan, Gail, Annika. Oh, okay, all right. So there's your thoughts, but Quinn is the one that attacked Gail.
Yep, she said that.
She said that, and plus Radio
No.
Silence confirmed that. You don't.
No.
But do you think that she was lying?
It was Stu.
Again, hive mind, part of the cult. And I'm not saying it's Stu, but hive mind.
Okay, all right.
It was
Okay,
Stu.
I got you. Hey, Movies and Beyond's in the chat. What's up, Michael? Say don't hate on Friday the 13th, Polar.
I have my shirt on. I'm not hating.
Yeah,
It's
right.
getting
Hey,
fast.
can I just say, man, I'm so glad that they gave the nod to Jason Takes Manhattan, as they should.
Yeah.
You know, kind of to say, hey guys, we know you guys didn't have enough money back in the day. We knew you guys were stuck on a boat for 80% of the movie. We're gonna do it right, but we're still gonna tip the hat off to
Yeah.
you. You saw Jason Takes Manhattan on the TV. Tony's character was called Jason. You know,
Yeah.
so I like that. That was cool.
You know what?
Yeah.
One thing people, I guess, aren't giving this enough credit for. They're like, oh man, finally Scream is out of Woodsboro. Scream 3, we take it to
Well,
Hollywood.
true.
And the
Scream
second.
three.
And
the
two.
second, yeah.
I mean, yeah, and the second one, but I mean, Scream 3, we take it to Hollywood. Like,
Yeah.
do people
Yeah.
really forget?
But
that?
I will say this. I think they did finish the contract in the sense of New York did feel more dangerous. You know, it did feel like,
Mhm.
because even in 3, and I have a lot of fun with 3. We all know that. You know, it still felt small, kind of. You know what I mean? Because the whole idea of the small town. Now, granted, I thought that we were going to do a couple of other things in this movie to give us that New York feel, but you know, the bodega
Yeah.
scene, the subway scene, and with the invasion scene, even though it took place inside for the most part, it did feel bigger to me. And I don't know, maybe that was just because it was the first watch and I was all hyped up or whatever, but
Mhm.
it did feel more dangerous, which I really enjoyed that. I really did, because it's like Scream has always kind of towed that line between horror and comedy and lightheartedness too, which I do like that. That's what sets it apart. But it was kind of cool to have, you know, some more intensity and moments where I'm like, oh, they're gonna make it. Are they gonna make it? You know, and so it's interesting. It's interesting, but I do see where the franchise can go. You know, I do see that light in the tunnel for where the franchise can go for the future. So
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see. And Marcus was saying the fact that, wait a minute, tell Stone it felt right stabbing Richie tells that she's definitely embracing the dark side as well as her touching Billy's case. Oh, talking about Sam. Yeah, absolutely.
Or grabbing
Yep.
Billy's knife.
Right?
I mean, she needed a weapon, but she literally picked his knife.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yep, absolutely. Although I wish you know, and I know they connected, you know, all the killers and stuff, but that scene, you know, where they were talking about, especially when they referenced Mrs. Loomis, I kind of was hoping that she kind of would reference, you know, her grandmother a little bit more, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It's a crazy family, man.
Yeah, it is.
Drusef saying the bodega scene was a lot more than the trailer showed. So good. Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I think what they did with the marketing, I think they did a heck of a job. The scene in the shrine at the end, with the ladder, like Jason was saying, for me, the favorite scene after the ladder scene is when Tara asked Sam to let her go and she's handed her Billy's knife. I teared up. You know, I think that was played very well, but it was based upon the earlier scenes, the earlier heartfelt scenes between Sam and Tara that they took the time to do. This is what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Like, they paid off shit. And in 5, and don't get me wrong, I liked 5. 5 is not a bad movie whatsoever. I enjoy it. But I just feel as though we had more things that paid off in 6 for the main characters. It definitely, at least the Carpenter sisters. We can debate everyone else, but definitely with Sam and Tara, I think we had a lot of things that really paid off in this movie and made the intense scenes more worth my while. I was invested more in that scene, and we talked about that scene a lot. What's happening? Is there going to be a swerve, a betrayal? Who's going to fall? Is it a reverse? It was a crazy scene, man, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked
Can you
it.
imagine how much? So I generally stay away from teasers and trailers, but I wanted to be part of some of the videos, so I came out and we did watch parties for them. And can you imagine though if you went in that completely blind and saw the train scene or even the bodega?
Right.
Oh, sometimes I'm like, can you not? Oh, you didn't see any of it?
I kind of went in blind.
You did.
Oh, you
Yeah,
are
you did.
so lucky, so
Right.
lucky.
I
That's
know.
how I generally like to go. But yeah, like those were amazing scenes, and I wish that they only gave us the teaser and then they never did anything else.
I agree. And I think, and I know from the marketing standpoint, that's par for the course. But damn it, man, it would have been great if all we had was the teaser and that was it, and
That
then
was the
maybe everything else they had were things where they had like character moments or character profiles, like it maybe, Jenna as Tara talking about, whatever, but it's not actually in the movie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they used to do that stuff back in the
Dude.
day.
They could just send me an email saying, "Hey, new Scream movie's coming out on this date," and I would go. Save your money. I don't need that trailer.
Right. Oh my god.
I still would need the teaser though to know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah. The teaser is fine, and that teaser was great. It gave you enough, and didn't go overboard whatsoever, in my opinion. So
I would love to see like one movie finally have the guts to do that. Like all you see is just Ghostface mask. You know what's up. Or something like the Bat Signal. Like, okay, it's a new Batman movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a trailer? Nope. Like, all right,
You
you
know-
know what? Let's do it.
I would be down.
Me too, man. And I just thought to myself, man, I think that would be a good marketing ploy in and of itself.
I have thought that for years.
Like they could even say, like, whatever it is, whether it's a Batman, Ghostface, whatever, and they just show the character or whatever, and there's a little voiceover, and they even say there won't be a trailer.
Well, think about
check out the movie in July.
Think about the
Still
end
thinking
of,
about it.
Think about the end of Batman Begins. That scene where Michael Caine shows the Joker card.
Yes.
That's your trailer for the next movie.
Right.
That's
Because
it.
we knew that the Joker was next.
Exactly.
Right.
You
That
know,
would be cool.
Hollywood, if you're listening, do that.
Yeah.
We will go see it.
Well,
We
listen,
will see it. We'll see it multiple times.
yeah, especially for these legacy franchises, man. If you had a Scream movie that literally just showed Ghostface and you had Roger doing his thing, blah, 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 I'll see you in June or whatever, something like that. And then boom, title card. And that's it with a slash.
Just put a
I'm sold.
weathered hockey mask on the screen and just say summer 2024. Like, all right.
Yep.
I'm here for it. I know what it is.
Right. And what's up to Anthony too? Child Lukewarm in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. Jennifer saying Detective Bailey, I think, killed the therapist. Okay. All right. Marcus was saying to Sarah, agreed. Most of the dirty work was Bailey. These kids are liars, like Amber Freeman. Hey, look.
Yeah, but see, but Marcus, you're gonna hate me when I get to who I think did attack Gail. So just a fair warning.
I love it
because it's not Stu. It is not Stu.
Well, all right. So let's get to our next attack. So now we got to remember Quinn's boyfriend got killed.
Oh, he did. Maybe Quinn did it.
Well,
okay.
Did it. Well, here's the thing though. But Danny saw Ghostface in with Quinn. So who's the Ghostface?
True.
Who's the Ghostface in the home invasion scene?
Ew, I'm just thinking they were doing the naughty. So one of her parents saw that. I'm sorry. That's where my mind
the
goes.
detective, and that's why he butchered that guy.
Yeah, he's like, you don't touch my daughter.
Right? Okay. So Polar, you think that was Detective Bailey who killed the boyfriend, and then with the latter scene with Annika?
It was just someone who shouldn't have seen what they saw.
Okay. Sarah, how about you?
I also think it was Detective Bailey, and I don't have like a really good reason for it. Just kind of like what I said earlier is I really don't think Ethan was involved in like a lot of the killing. I think he was the plant with the friends.
Yeah.
Like maybe he had the assist and then obviously there in the end. But I think like for the first like 60% of the movie, it was all like Detective Bailey.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Good
right.
point, Sarah.
How about you, Bob?
Detective Bailey, and this goes back into the whole masterminding thing. Ethan could easily screw up faking the daughter's death because, again, he's not in law enforcement. Detective Bailey is. They had to stage this like it's a crime scene, so when he's the first on site, he can take his daughter, replace it real quick with a fake body. It's less suspicious seeing him going in there. If you have Ethan involved at all, something's going to look off in that. And I tell you, he would leave evidence because they're rookies. If anything, heck, if you want to have him do it, he'd be the pawn to take the downfall. He's the idiot of the group if you think about it.
So do you think
All
the
right.
econ alibi was an actual alibi then?
Yeah.
What was
'Cause
what? What was
remember,
that?
they are
So-
they are still in college.
Yeah, he's like, I had
think so.
econ, so that was like, did you
And
do it?
if Chad, believe me, Chad would know his schedule because they were closer roommates than, say, like Sam, Tara, and Quinn were. So he
Right.
kind of would know that schedule. If he felt that wasn't true, Chad would have done something at that point.
Good point.
Because
Good
he
point.
already had a blossoming love for Tara. He's going to defend her at that point.
Good point. Good point. Kill, how about you?
I think it was the detective. You know, the way that he butchered up that boyfriend, that's a daddy. that's a daddy butchering up the boyfriend. And plus, later on in the movie, he says how he had to switch Quinn's body out. Like that was easy. That was light work for him. He's a detective, sort of like what Bob's saying. He's a professional. Like a good detective can be a great serial killer because they know what to do, what not to do, and how to draw other detectives and police off their scent. So I think for the most part, if he didn't do most of the killings, he definitely plotted out, hey, you do this one because, oh, it's on a subway train. Who cares about evidence? Whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, you do this one, you know, they're going to come to the door really close, stabby stab, get in, get out. But ones like this where you're going to be in close, he literally was in the other room with 4 people he wants to kill in the other room. That's definitely to me going to be the dad because he could take them out, you know.
All right. Yeah. I think although at the time when I was watching it, I was wondering if it could have been Ethan, but I agree though, the idea of the boyfriend, definitely I would see Dermot doing that kill, you know what I mean? And also being right on the scene, obviously to do the switcheroo and situate Quinn's body, quote unquote body, you know what I mean? So I agree with that. T. Parker in the chat saying, I thought the first 2 acts were amazing, but the third act ruined what could have been a perfect film. Are you telling me no one knew Richie's family, especially Gail, who does her research, or Kirby, who's an FBI agent? Well, what do you guys think about that plot hole?
Oh, that was my biggest plot hole issue.
Yes.
Detective throwing
I was
off
like,
the scent.
He's
Just
asking.
saying.
Well, you're being asked to be transferred to follow your daughter, and it just happens that they're not going to do any background check to see who your son is. Like, your son is a serial killer. Pretty sure your coworkers are going to be talking about that in the FBI. And then you want to get transferred to where your son's victims are. Like, I couldn't see past that.
Okay. How about now? What were you saying, Bob?
I mean, he was throwing one line that has me thinking he's not even with the FBI anymore, and it was all a freaking ruse. He's throwing the blame on Kirby for her being fired for going psycho.
Yeah.
Let's just say he didn't do that. And somehow he gained access to here by changing his name, and they dug up somebody that he killed and he looked familiar to him. And somebody different. Remember,
Oh,
he's a detective from the past.
mm-hmm.
That's how you throw the scent off. He's going to have that mindset to know how to do it.
I mean,
we're not dealing with this one. We're not dealing with idiot teenagers anymore. We're dealing with someone with literal experience, not just like. I know in 2 and 3 technically they were adults, but let's face it, they weren't really the world's smartest people when it came to their game plans.
Right. Good point. Especially Mrs. Loomis.
But Mickey,
Mickey was the closest one we got to it, but he was dumb enough to take the thing, not realizing he might be the fall guy.
Yeah. Jason saying, "Why are we not talking about the question mark by Stu's name on the?" We did talk about that. Listen, Stu, the door is still open. The door is still open. I mean, and Radio Silence themselves literally said that. So definitely, the door is still open for Stu. Cheers to Fear saying, as much as I love Stu, literally my favorite character in the franchise, I kind of hope they don't bring him back and confirm he is dead. Might be unpopular opinion, but I don't want his legacy ruined. That's an interesting take too, man. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, could the legacy of this character be ruined if they bring him back?
I don't think Matthew would let him ruin him.
Okay. All right.
I think, in this franchise where they try to reinvent things and throw different things. Okay, this time we're going to have 3 killers, and this time, yada, yada. The only 2 things left they could do are 2 things that we've talked about. One, have Sam become a Ghostface, and she does killings. Or 2, bring back a previous killer that didn't die. So I think wholeheartedly that somewhere down the line they're gonna do that, because they're gonna be like, well, dude, we've done everything else. We gotta, hey.
Actually, there is kind of one thing else they could do. A vigilante type Ghostface. While one set's killing, we have Sam and Tara, who already have that bloodlust, trying to stop the killers the only way they know how, by killing.
That's what I was thinking too, man. Like for this movie, I was thinking, what if Sam did go to the dark side, or if there was another killer, like 2 different quote unquote teams of killers, that one side of it is doing it more as like vigilante, like, for quote unquote what they think is justice. You know what I mean?
And the reason I bring that up is, think about it. In 5, it was defending herself after Richie stabbed her.
Right.
In this one, it was pretty much defending Tara. So both times were justified. Yes, you maybe went a little too far, unlike Sydney. But when you think about it, she messed with her family. So they all did kind of deserve to die in the end.
Right.
In a very brutal and gruesome way.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, man.
Don't mess with family.
Don't mess with Sam, dude, for real, because she...
Or Tara at this point. I mean, I'm sorry. She enjoyed stabbing Ethan way too much. I'm sorry.
She did, man. She did.
I mean, is that knife possessed by Billy's ghost at this point? I mean, you tell me she's now enjoying it too much?
Right?
Something's wrong with that knife. Burn it at the stake.
I know, man. And hey, what's up to Omni? Omni's in the chat, too. What's going on? And Skull Crusher, of all the Scream movies, where would you rank 6? We talked about that a little bit earlier, and we'll definitely get to ranking at some point soon, hopefully very, very soon. But I can definitely say that I enjoyed it more than 5. I think what's interesting, though, like Kill enjoyed 5 more than 6. And I think it continues to speak to the fact that this franchise, there are people that love each of these movies as their favorite. And I think that that's actually a really cool thing, because you rarely see that in legacy horror franchises. Usually, especially for long-standing ones, usually there's not as much of that variety in the picks. But all of these movies and Scream in the franchise, they've been pretty darn good. So interesting stuff. Real quick, before we get to the next kill that we want to talk about, let's bring in, we got another knock at the door, and let's bring in our good friend, the mayor, the Bearded Entertainment. What's up, Eric?
What's going on, everyone?
Hey. How's it going, bro?
I've been listening, but sorry, something came up. I couldn't jump on when I was supposed to, but I'm like, I'll jump on if we're still going, and here I am. I think the last I heard y'all were talking about was the apartment kill with Quinn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
I just wonder, who did y'all think that was? Did you say it was Bailey?
I think that was the general consensus. Who'd you think it was?
I thought it had to be Ethan, because Bailey had to be first on the scene. So how could he show up as a cop on the scene if he's already there?
Going down the stairwell.
I mean, runs into a telephone booth and changes like Superman.
Well, not only does he have to show up there as a cop, but he has to show up with a fresh dead body.
Yeah. That just kind of fell apart.
I think maybe he could have showed up with the body, planted it somewhere, snuck into their apartment. Well, or more like Quinn lets her dad in, and then does whatever he has to do because he wants to be there right on scene to make sure nothing happens to his daughter and make sure that, okay, she looks dead. You get out of here. Let me slide this body in, stab it up some more, fake it however he has to fake it. I don't know. It's who knows?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That whole thing kind of, that's one of the less believable things in the movie for me, is the whole faking a dead body. Especially when the opening, they were able to like solve Laura's killing within like 3 hours. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it had to be Ethan, because Bailey, like I said, Bailey would have to get out of the apartment, go change into whatever, come back to the apartment to show up, and the whole gang is there outside the apartment. So it'd be really hard for both Quinn and Bailey to get away, because Quinn's going to have to get out of there as well.
That's a good point, man. Yeah. That's a good point. No, I agree. That's actually a good point when you look at it that way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I definitely thought it was Ethan.
Okay. All right. No.
Chad would be just an idiot for not asking any of them hundreds of people he was around. He didn't buy that easily.
That's true too, man.
I'm just saying, if you buy the fact that they switched a dead body and like no one figured it out, then you cannot deny Stu could have switched. Stu could be. I'm just throwing it out there.
Right. That's right.
It's true. It's true, man. It's true.
Team Stu.
Another hint right there that it could happen.
It could. Let's see. Memo Boy saying they got it wrong. Ghostface said, "Who gives a f about movies?" Since Bailey likes and cherishes Richie's movie obsession and the fact that he likes movies.
I got a response to this.
Sure,
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
in reality, it really wasn't about the movie. It was
Right,
more
it was
about
about
revenge for what happened to his own son.
Right.
Just like Mrs. Loomis didn't care about the movies.
I mean, it's Scream 2 2.0, just for this generation.
Right.
Yeah. It was definitely the motive from Scream 2 with the same plan from Scream 5. But if you look around the shrine, it wasn't about the movies. It was about the actual killings. Because Part 4 and Part 5, there weren't movies based on those things. Like, because they couldn't make stab movies based on those. That was actual evidence from real murder. So it was less about stab and more about true crime.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point. I like that. That. Jason was saying he was invested too because of the time taken earlier in the film. I agree. They took time, especially for the Carpenter sisters, to really get you invested in them currently. Okay, so let's get to Gail's apartment. Now, obviously, the boyfriend, Brooks, got killed, and Gail almost did. Bob, I'll start with you because I know you said you had an interesting thought on this, but who killed Brooks and who almost killed Gail?
Danny
Brackett?
Think about it. Every time, never attacked once, even though he saw the whole thing across the way. Not one of them wanted to attack him. Something's off with that. He should have been attacked at least once. You cannot tell me He's going to witness a faking of a murder and still be allowed to live.
Wow. Wow. Hot take. Okay, Eric, what do you got?
Well, I think they wanted Danny to witness the faking of the murder, because then there's an alibi. Then you have someone actively watching him get murdered, or watching Quinn get murdered. Now there's like digital proof because he took a photo, so you actually see someone attacking her. So if they do need more proof that she was killed, so I think that's one of the reasons. But also Danny wasn't there when anything happened because Sam always told him to leave. Like when he comes up to the apartment after the first news story, Chad's like, "All right, new guy, you got to go." Then he tries to go into the shrine, and she's like, "No, you got to go." Like, although I have at one point suspected Danny, but not anymore. Like he's just does what Sam would like him to do in the moment. He's the good, like a better version of Derek if Sydney had trusted him.
Yes.
I think it was.
Yeah, but see, that's why I'm thinking that it has to be him, because it seems they're playing the opposite roles all the time. Something tells me there's something off with that, because she's way too trusting of him. She's way too trusting.
She wasn't though. She kept making him get out of here.
Let him in the shrine.
Yeah, but
good point.
Think about it. If you're suspecting him, why not keep a closer eye on him? Why are you getting rid of him? If he's closer, you have eyes on him.
Well, I think in her, I think in her case, her last love interest was with her all the time, and it ends up he was one of the people trying to kill her.
But then, if we're going to go into this, then in reality, Sam can't become a killer because she's actually doing the opposite of what Sydney did. She's not that poison getting people innocently killed. She's actually better.
Yeah, that's a good
Sydney
point.
kind of kept everybody close,
Right.
except for Derek,
But
and all the close ones, except for Dewey and Gail, kept dying. I mean, like, if you think about that line in Scream 3, you're like a poison.
Good point.
Then
Good
Sam
point.
would be the anti-poison because she's telling people to get out and they're not getting attacked.
Well, and like I said, I think the killings are focused on. I mean, well, I don't think it. We know the killings are focused on Sam and Tara. That like they're only attacking those two and people to get close to those two. And Sam, as far as we know, going into it, Sam's relationship with Danny isn't even really that public. So why would they even plan on attacking him? They don't even know he matters to her. And she kicks him out. You know, she kind of shoos him away anytime there is an attack or anytime they're right before an attack. So, I mean, I'll give you that conveniently he's not there when the attacks happen, but it's entirely by circumstance. It's entirely on Sam that he's not there. But I think Stu that killed, that stabbed Gail. Gonna throw it out there now.
I think Quinn knows about Danny just being their roommate. But I also agree that I think they wanted someone to witness Quinn being killed. And Quinn is like, well, hey, she has a boyfriend that she doesn't really want to let people know that lives right across the street. So if you come in and kill me, he'll see it. And it'll be solidified because, like they said, they wanted Quinn out of the way so that no eyes would be on her. And once she's dead, she can do all the other stuff in the background that Ethan, who's the plant, can't do, and the detective can't do. I think she was the one that was really going around like, oh, you need me to do this, Dad? All right, I'll set it up for you. Boom, it'll be there. Because she's dead. She's dead. So she can now be the most mobile person. You know, maybe not the muscle or anything, but she can be the mobile one that can go around and set stuff up for her dad.
And if you think about it, Danny being able to see is the only reason they would actually like fake look like she's getting killed. No one else could see her. They could just easily just smear blood on her and throw her out. The only reason they actually go through the process of making it look like she was being killed is so someone could see.
Right.
So
I agree with
to
that.
me, it seems obvious that that's the reason Danny wasn't getting attacked.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think they're gonna go the opposite of even the Kincaid. I think we're gonna have the boyfriend being the killer. I don't know, just something about it. I'm getting that vibe.
We had
Well,
that
that would definitely be interesting. Yeah, we did have that in one, but that would be interesting if they pay that off like that, man. That would definitely be really. That would definitely make you watch this movie a bit different when you watch 7 as well. You know, because you'd be picking apart those scenes.
I loved the entire lead up to Gale's attack and Gale's attack, but mostly because, like I mentioned at the beginning, I had Ethan and Detective Bailey spoiled for me. So in the scene with Kirby in the van, Ethan and Bailey are accounted for, and then they get the Ghostface call. So, like, for me, that was like a huge thing. It was new information. I was like, there's a third one. Like, the game is afoot. I was like fully back in, because up until then I had been spending my time just like watching the two of them, like looking for the clues, like seeing how they did it, because I knew that they were the killers. But the whole third killer was just my favorite thing. And I do think it was Quinn that attacked Gale.
Yeah, I think it was Quinn too. I really do. I really, really do. And you know, and Eric, if it is Stu, you know, if they pull that trigger, you know, then that'll be interesting in 7. But I mean, obviously, Radio Silence has also said that it was Quinn. But if they retcon that and say, well, it was Stu, then
but are they really going to say it was Stu before they reveal Stu being back? I mean,
no. But I mean, but they literally said this was their scene to kind of do another Amber situation, because they knew that fans, you know, were not you know, on board with Amber being the one physically who could have killed Dewey. So they said that this was literally their way to kind of be like, you know, screw you, we're going to do it again, and we're going to have this lady, or this young lady, I should say, be the one that's going to kill Brooks, who's like a muscle-bound freak, and almost kill Gale. So they literally said it. Now, of course, they could have just been saying that knowing that, hey, we're going to try to bring back Stu, and if we do, this is a way we could do it, and if not, we'll just keep it as Quinn. You know, that could be it too. Eric, what were you gonna say?
Just really quick. So even with the grunts left in, I don't know how many times have y'all watched the movie now?
I've only seen it once.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it about 5 times. If you listen, like during the scene when Gale's getting attacked and chased, there is some manly grunts going on from Ghostface, like straight up, no, like deep voice grunts going on, and that's one of the reasons I say it's Stu. Plus, I mean, once they get to the shrine, Quinn says like, "Oh, I've got Stu Macher's masks. He's my favorite." So,
right.
And so I don't want to go backwards, but I wasn't here for something earlier in the apartment scene, and I really want to bring it up because it's kind of awesome and possibly heartbreaking.
What's that?
So when they're all having the discussion, like right before it starts, Sam's sitting there and Tara comes over. And it's one of the best scenes in the movie, in my opinion, because it's just all emotion, all character growth and everything. And Sam says something about like, it just sucks to be this hated. And a part of me watching it was like, I wonder if that's Melissa talking about how much people hated on her from part 5.
That's a good point.
I mean,
she got a lot of crap, and like I wonder how real that is.
Thinking about it, and maybe it's coming from my own personal experience on a lot of things, I kind of was the only one kind of defending the character of Sam. A lot of people were out for blood on that, like, oh, she's boring, there's no melatonin. Meanwhile, I'm like, I can kind of relate being on my own drugs from my own psychotic past, like witnessing a loved one being hit by a drunk driver, like that lives with you, and I had to take all this medication. That's how I was. I never had emotion. So to me, it felt natural.
Yeah.
Although it didn't help either that Jenna Ortega outshone everybody except for David Arquette, really. I mean, that didn't help matters either.
Yeah, I agree. There's no doubt that Jenna was phenomenal in 5 and outshone everyone except for David. You're right. Absolutely. Let's see. And real quick, Derek's in the chat too, saying, "Hey, Knight, the Gale apartment scene and the apartment scene with the ladder scene are two of the best scenes in franchise history. They were really good, man. They really were. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't
Seriously. Yes.
I
Jennifer was
think
saying,
it was a little overdone.
huh?
Mindy kind of angered me during the ladder scene. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, because okay, so Annika, we saw the injury Annika got. First of all, Ghostface straight up picked her up off the ground by her neck, which was awesome, and then stabbed her in the gut, twisted and cut like 3 inches. Right? That's more or less a fatal wound.
There's no way she's even getting on the ladder, which also annoyed me.
That's true too. Yes, I agree.
All Mindy got was a slash to the arm, nowhere near fatal. It wasn't that deep, and she was acting like she was about to die, and she was like taking forever to cross. It's almost like she wanted Annika to stay across and die with the amount of time she was taking that ladder. Come on.
That's a good point.
Going on a luxury cruise across this alleyway.
Right. I get you.
Not gonna lie, it made me hate Mindy even more than I hated her in 5. I thought this film would actually make me appreciate her. It made me hate her even more.
I hear you. Scott saying I wasn't a fan of Kirby. Didn't like her as a cop. Didn't like her look. Her hair was hideous. Wow. She literally looked like a Tiffany doll from Chucky. She did look like Tiffany from Chucky. Like literally. We actually talked about that, you know. But I liked her in the role. Did you guys enjoy Kirby?
I love Kirby.
Out of anybody, that made the most sense. You can easily argue, like, you could have thrown in a little thing like David Arquette, Dewey saved her, and that she idolized what Dewey did for that, and she wanted to honor him by becoming an FBI agent.
Well, I love the explanation she gives. She literally died. She's like, I died for a few minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
I came back. I didn't want to be scared of monsters. I wanted them to be scared of me. And I was like, that is amazing. I love that. I really loved her character. And there's a little detail in the movie that's kind of a throwaway line, but in my opinion, one of the best little pieces of writing in the movie. When her and Gale are walking into the shrine for the first time, like we're about to see it for the first time.
Yeah.
Kirby's like, how did you find this place? And obviously Gale, like, you know, pokes a jab at her like, oh, it's called investigative journalism. How did you not find it? Kirby says, I went over their financials 12 times. This was never listed on it. And then you kind of forget about it. But at the very end, Detective Bailey's like, I rented the place and put it in their name, which shows why Kirby never found it, because the kids never paid for it. It was all Detective Bailey, which is a small detail, but I thought it was just very clever writing because it goes back to explain that thing.
Yeah, I agree. They had some nice little, like I said, I think they'd had some really, really cool moments that just kind of layered, you know, these characters. And it's tough to do, man, because you've got this core 4 that you're bringing back. You're bringing Kirby back, a legacy character we hadn't seen since 4. And you have, you have Dermot, you have these newer characters too. So once again, they had their hands full with so many characters to try to space out in this movie. Personally, I think they did a better job of it in this movie versus 5, because I just cared more about more characters in this movie than I did in 5. So at the end of the day, but let's jump to, obviously at the end, you know, we knew what happened with Ethan and Quinn and then Dermot. Out of those 3 deaths, though, did you guys have a favorite? Whether it be Ethan or Quinn's death or Bailey's death.
Bailey's.
Okay. What did you like about his death more so than the other 2?
For me, I love the fact that Sam, she wasn't gonna do it at first,
right?
And then she did that kind of that head tilt, like
Yeah,
but you
right.
you messed with my family.
Yeah.
And she just like goes, like carving a pumpkin. She just goes right in.
Oh my God. Right?
Fun
Yeah.
fact, I counted it. She stabs him 32 times.
Wow.
Oh
The
man.
32nd is the one that goes to the eye.
Darkness.
Ugh.
Right. I know.
I looked at it like, and I know everyone's now is, there's a lot more people who are still on the Sam going to the dark side train.
Mm.
Maybe it's just me, but I felt like between her stopping, like shy of the kill, like she wasn't going to kill him until Tara's the one who gave her the look like he did kind of screw us over.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She stops just shy of the kill, and she drops the mask at the end. For me, I'm like, Sam is letting go of that part of herself.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Another thing that I haven't heard anyone else talking about, but Billy in the last one, in part 5, Billy's hallucination, he was solid. Like you could literally see full Skeet Ulrich in the report. In this one, you could see through him. Like he
Right.
was
It's kind of
good,
faded.
Yep.
but you could see through him. And I took that like part of it, like he's not there as much anymore. She's really overcoming this thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I think from what I'm seeing, everything kind of looks like she's a lot further from going to the dark side, if anything.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
And it's not just that. If we're gonna have that happen, you're gonna have to kill off Tara in order for her to become full killer at this point. Because from what we saw in 5, it was about defending herself. What we saw in 6 was you messed with our family.
Right.
Because Tara gave that nod, like pretty much like, yeah, do it, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for her to turn full evil, you have to kill Jenna Ortega. And the minute they do, saying Nev doesn't come back, I guarantee you everybody's going to turn saying they messed up by killing Jenna Ortega. She should have been the final girl. Because they're going to remember 5 and how Melissa Barrera was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be kind of, in a way, clouded judgment with that. It's like they're not going to see that character development from Sam as much. And I can understand that. I love Jen Ortega as much as the next person. But having that connection to Sam, if you ever go full evil, Tara has to go full evil too at this point.
Right.
Because she enjoyed stabbing Ethan too much.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. This movie definitely made me such more of a fan of Samantha. I mean, like I am team Samantha. I mean, seriously, she was just like through the whole film, and I've only seen it once. I'm still absorbing it, but I didn't see anything that she did that I was not a fan of in this movie. Like, I absolutely loved her. I think it was almost like that classic final girl type of way that she carried herself, and she was just so good in all the scenes, and everything landed for me. I was just big on her.
I think one of the reasons why you might be saying that is because you didn't have a legacy character, like really not all through it, but Dewey was with them for a lot of those scenes.
Right.
And
That's
anytime
true.
Dewey was on the scene, whoever these Carpenter sisters are, we don't care. Dewey's here, and then Gail comes, and then finally Nev comes. So people already were just like not really worried about, okay, they're passing the torch on to these sisters or anything like that. But I've always liked her character. I liked her in 5. And I think with this one, where you do have a legacy character or two, Kirby and Gail, but they're so low on the totem pole, where this is really the sisters movie and mainly Sam's.
Right. And hey, our good buddy, Internet Eric is here saying, CGI Ghost Billy. It wasn't a ghost, man. It's a hallucination. What is he?
You can see through him.
we got to make that distinction. But like Bearded Eric was saying, I think that it was kind of showing that she is moving further away from her connection to him and her illness that she's been dealing with, kind of almost coming to terms with her legacy and her past and her lineage. You know what I'm saying? So, Eric, what were you going to say?
To go back to Sam going full dark, I personally don't think it's ever going to happen, because I think honestly it's a bad look. I think the trope of the person with mental health issues is going to break, and like mental health equals violent and evil. I think that trope is so overdone, and it would honestly, I think it would take away from the franchise if they did that. It's like, okay, clearly she's got some mental health issues going on. She's on antipsychotics. She's dealing with the trauma of everything that's happened. It just, I think it would be a bad direction for the series to go if they would say now, like if she went vigilante and like she just went out and killed like people who were trying to harm others.
Right.
I mean, it's called the Marine. Cool. Just join the Marines. You're all good. But I don't think they're going to have her be like a full-on Ghostface. I don't think that'd be a good look for the franchise.
That's a good point. Good point. And also, Val, thank you so much for putting the link in the chat. We're going to be doing a watch party in the Night House. That's going to be on Sunday, so it won't be tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we're going to be talking about our good friend Mr. Freddy Krueger. But definitely thank you. Kill's like, oh no, but definitely thank you for putting the link down for our Patreon link, and for anyone that would like to help support us that way, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. And what were you gonna say, Bob?
Going to what Beard was saying, also, quite frankly, if they do go that route with this, I personally am going to walk out with my own past because of having a connection. Like, for once, I can kind of relate to a character and not be called like a villain. Like, a lot of people always assume, though, you'll just become a villain. You need more mental help. You'll never get off the drugs. With the help of you guys, not once have I had to touch any of the stuff I was on. I don't repress that. And it's like the one time I have something to connect to could be thrown out the drain if they do that. And I don't think they want to alienate half their fan base that has gone through stuff and make them realize, hey, you can conquer your fears. You can still come over this. And I think that's what this trilogy is about, is overcoming everything. I think even Tara has to overcome the fact she lost her father.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with that. Yeah, no doubt. And for you, Polar, as we start to wind down here, any like final thoughts on this film? I mean, being such a big fan of the franchise, do you think that this was all worth it for Scream 6? All the buildup that we had, all the conversations beforehand and so forth. Do you think that it was worth it all?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm not gonna complain if they release Scream new movies or anything unless there's some kind of torch, or what was it, the flamethrower that ever comes out, like in the Stab movies. I would be a little upset, but no, this movie was so amazing. I was digging every minute of it. It was not until the third act where I was like, and I didn't care for the reveal, but I did absolutely love the scene where Chad gets stabbed and then they do the swipe. That was the coolest thing ever. Amazing. Absolutely that was cool. Amazing. But I don't know why. I just wasn't digging Detective Bailey's acting. And I just really wanted like a hitman kind of Ghostface, like you guys have all been talking about. You got that in me. And then when I was like, okay, we got this older guy who's like probably in his 60s, though he does have training, he's not at his prime anymore. And then these kind of smaller framed, they're not teenagers, but like college students. I was like, once you take that mask off and that's who's behind the mask, that I was just disappointed. I was like, I wanted a Michael or a Jason like Ghostface for once, someone who was truly unstoppable. Because that's how they like preached it to us. They're like, so gruesome, so gory, unstoppable. And then it was like, you're so unstoppable, you hardly killed anyone. But,
there you go. All right. Eric, what were you going to say?
By the way, Dad was stabbed 17 times in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
He's dead. He should be dead.
He should.
He should be. And I'm all about Chad living, but like, let's just stab him twice.
Right.
And not making it an epic scene, like
I know the way they held that scene and the whole reaction of Jenna and the reaction of Mason, and course, they built that up because of their blossoming romance. It's like he should have died, and I loved Chad in this movie, but it was kind of like, all right, guys, we can't. Come on, man, we can't do all that.
Maybe they could have switched Chad out with Danny, and that could have been the awesome, you know. And then Danny does die. If we want to keep Chad in, just switch him out with someone. But follow through. People are not going to survive that, and I know I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief, but no,
I totally agree. I think that was the biggest sin. Like, hey, Kill, if we ever do a Sins edition of Scream 6, I'm gonna be going off on that because Chad should have died. Chad literally is dead right now.
Yeah,
he really
is Swiss cheese. He has way too many holes in him.
There's no way he's coming out of that thing conscious and well enough to even take his mask off to start kissing Jenna Ortega. The whole, like, being wrapped up in a blanket, sitting on an ambulance, like, no, you all should be in surgery. You should all be on the way to the hospital.
Sedated.
There's no way Mindy is running to meet the group. Like, she should be sedated. Like, it just, I know we're supposed to suspend disbelief, but across all of the movies, that is, like, the one, like, trope that's always gotten me. Like, at the end of the movies where, you know, Gail's been shot, Sydney's been stabbed, they're in 5, and they're just, like, basically hanging out with their cocoa in the back of an ambulance. I'm like, no. No.
Yeah, ask for that, asshole. Yeah. No, I can't. It's just, it really annoyed me. Even, like, with Mindy getting stabbed and, you know, him pulling up. I was like, girl, your shit's gonna fall out of your guts. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, why are you running and hopping right now? Like, call or FaceTime your brother. He's not gonna be able to talk back because he's under oxygen, but whatever. It was just ridiculous.
It was. Eric, what were you gonna say?
I have a solution. A lot of y'all probably gonna hate this. Okay.
I hate it. No.
Here's what we do. Scream 7 opens literally the second Scream 6 stopped.
Yeah. As
Sam and Tara are walking away, they get a call. It's another Ghostface. Our opening kill, if we're mirroring 3, which I am 100% certain that's what we're going to do, it's going to be an established character who dies in the opening. We get a call from Ghostface, or Sam and Tara does, and we know the hospital where Gail is deserted because that's just what happens in the Scream movie.
Right.
And we see Ghostface on the phone standing over Gail's body. He's gone. She's opening kill. Then all of a sudden, Chad gets to the hospital. He's the next opening kill, or he's the next kill in the opening.
Ooh.
So those two are gone. It's the same story. Like, we're literally finishing out that day. He doesn't technically live. We just cut off a little bit.
Oh, jeez. So in, like, Scream 2, where they're passing out Ghostface masks as you enter the theater, they're going to be passing out tissue boxes to us because all of our hearts are going to be broken.
Right.
How thrown off would everyone be if Gail was the opening kill?
Yeah, no, I agree. That would definitely be something, man.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I'd be down for that. That's something me and my mother were talking about afterward. I'm like, you know, they were kind of hinting with Gail being in the hospital. What if they open up with this? Because something tells me she ain't making it all the way through 7, especially with that comment, don't tell Sydney he got me. Like, that's still lingering in my head.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the news will tell her that he got you, but yeah, I don't know. I had a few issues with just the plot armor in general in this, and then also Gail's arc. I had to step away for a second. Was that addressed? How she went from being like a redeemed character into going back to her old ways? I was like, that is not the Gail we know.
But she's in New York. New York changes you.
Is that
right? Yeah. Well,
is that what cool kids are saying?
Yeah, and I think. And by the way, Marcus was saying, do we think 7 goes to Hollywood to mirror 3? I don't know if they'd go to Hollywood. I don't think so. But who knows, man. But I do want to say, I think with Gail, you know, there was a great apartment scene. That was fantastic. It was great. It lived up to what what I wanted from it, plus the call itself, which suspiciously did a lot of talk about Sydney too. But I didn't like Gail's arc in the movie, though. It's like she didn't even need to be in the movie, to be
I
quite
kind of
honest.
felt that way too.
Or she could have been killed, which I was against beforehand. I was really against that, just to see, each movie we're going to kill some legacy characters each time. But they didn't really do anything with her, and what are you going to do about that? So if she was the opening kill in 7, I wouldn't mind it at all. What were you going to say, Eric?
Firstly, I wanted her to die.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like I didn't, but before going into the movie, I didn't. As soon as the movie started, I did, because okay, you going back to your old Gale ways, that's one thing, but something you've never done, like, is disrespect Dewey to other people.
Yeah,
like he always has defended him, even to the other reporters in part 2 when they're asking, like a bunch of those reporters are hounding her, like, could Deputy Riley be part of this? And she's like, she literally stops, like, he's a good man. Like, she didn't even write a book about him like she said she was going to.
right.
She completely dropped him. And like, I understand moving on. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, she didn't honor him in any way.
Right.
And then she got mad at other people when they brought him up. Like, why? You're the problem here. But anyways, I wanted her to die. Like, after I saw that, I straight up wanted her to die.
You want to put her out of misery?
Right.
Yeah. Well, she's going to become
Takes it out of my misery.
Oh, Eric. You get a heart for me for that.
And plus, in a way, you can blame Gale for Quinn taking the idea of making Sam into that one that wanted to kill Richie by writing that part and making Sam look bad in that whole book that she wrote. So, I mean, really, again, Gale starts it all again.
Right.
I know. You just want. She deserved that slap. She deserved it.
Dude, that was so funny though when she ducked the first one and she's like, this is my first rodeo, and then Tara jumps in. That was so awesome.
Yo, instinct kicked in that scene, and the theater was pretty much empty, but I literally yelled out, "Bam, bitch goes down!"
Right.
Tatum Riley.
Tatum Riley. What were you gonna say, Eric?
Honestly, I think Gale being in the movie also kind of introduced a plot hole, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
She, within like one day, she was able to track down Jason and Greg's purchases. Like, she was able to find the shrine within one day of them being outed as Ghostface. You're telling me over a year, and after writing a book, she didn't know Detective Bailey was Richie's father?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier because I had the same issue.
Yeah, like, all I'm going to say is former FBI, he was really the one that lost his mind. He found a way to write in so if they did a background check, it wouldn't turn up as him. That's just my opinion.
You're not getting into the NYPD under a fake name. Like,
I don't know. I've seen stranger things happen in movies.
That's true. Movie logic.
Movie logic. But like my job, they ask you that question: do you have any aliases out there? Like, I have a high security check. Like, it ain't happening in the FBI. It's not.
And I worked in security when I was in the Navy.
Oh,
I had
of course.
Clearance and stuff. I know you're not. And here's the last thing I'll say about this particular thing is there's been some people say that they think this movie did the twist from Scream 2 better. And here's why I don't think that's true. Everyone's complaint with Scream 2 was that Debbie Salt, Miss Loomis, wasn't on screen enough. But that's logical. That makes sense because if she shows up too much, someone might see her who knows who she is. The way they're doing it in this one with having Bailey just all over the screen when you have an FBI agent who literally investigates Ghostface attacks and an investigative reporter who wrote a book on the Ghostface attacks, you have them both with this detective the whole movie, and you're telling me neither of them could have found it.
Good Good point.
But if Gail was doing all that
Mhm.
snooping to find out, she would have found out well before even Kirby, because they allude to that line with like she was looking for. Aaron couldn't find anything under the purchases because Bailey just put their names on it. He paid for it. You think Gail, out of anybody, would have figured that out in day one of doing that?
Good point. That's a good point. And Sarah, let me know your final thoughts too. But you're muted though. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh yeah, I just
Okay.
when I'm listening, I just mute it. There's
Okay.
like right by my window, and it's like a monsoon.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
I liked the movie. I felt that it was like fresh enough that it was like exciting. Like the Jason reveal at the beginning, like they switched up enough things that I was like pleasantly surprised, but it was still familiar enough that I was happy that they didn't change like too much. Like I thought it was a good middle ground of like kind of giving everybody what they wanted. Like it mirrored to just enough that people who are like familiar with the franchise like understood that. And granted, that may have made it a little more predictable to like the diehard fans than like the others. But like I think it's a good entry. I was like pretty much on the edge of my seat because if 5 taught me anything, it's that they can just kill legacies. So I was like, oh, literally anybody could die in 6. So I was like waiting for it. And it never happened, but I was still like, anybody could die here. Yeah, it kind of, in my whole ranking, it falls like middle back half, but like, it's not a bad, like none of the Scream movies are bad movies. Like it's great. It doesn't crack my top 3.
Okay. All right. Okay. And what were you going to say, Eric?
2 things. One, to reference that comment that they said about Bailey and like they're in New York and Richie moved to Woodsboro.
California.
That's not how it went down. If you remember, Quinn says she came to New York after Richie's death, and her dad followed her. So they've only they've been there for a year, which means he would have had to transfer to the NYPD. Sorry, I wasn't here for the beginning, so I'm like all these things I didn't get to bring up. Did y'all know it was going to be Jason under the mask in the opening?
I didn't know ahead of time. No.
No, because I did a decent enough job to avoid as many spoilers as possible.
Okay, that was never anything that was leaked. Here's the thing. If you listen, you could tell, because he's the only person outside of part 3 where it's not Roger L. Jackson talking normal.
Right.
Yeah, if you listen when he's just having the normal conversation, it's very obviously Tony Revolori's voice. And I knew immediately, I'm like, that's Tony Revolori. Like, he's having a conversation with him. And then I saw the mask. I'm like, okay. So did any of y'all catch that before he took the mask off? Or
no,
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, once I heard the voice, I'm like, yeah, I already now know. I wasn't expecting it to be a fake out because I went in with a theory like, well, what if they take the mask off and like every time they're killing, like they just place a mask down without thinking about it. And we know who the killers are, but the core 4 don't.
Oh, and hey, what's up to Curtis saying, what's up? First time here, much love. Welcome.
Hey.
We're actually about to end up here, but you can definitely check us out from the beginning. But look, guys, we're going to get ready to close this down. But this was, we covered a lot in this. First of all, I just want to say, for you guys in the live chat, thanks for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. You guys have had a lot of great conversation in the live chat. Definitely leave us a comment. Let us know more of your thoughts. We can continue discussion there. Also, if you've not hit the like button, please do. It helps support the channel. But also, thank you for everyone here. This was a lot of fun, man. We covered a lot of stuff. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll have to do this again because obviously there's more to even talk about. There's still rankings to do and all that type of stuff that obviously I knew we wouldn't get to tonight.
Yeah,
But this was
still
a lot of fun.
processing it too.
I am too, man. And like I said, I do want to see it again and absorb it some more, which I'm hoping to do because there's a lot to it. There really is. Seeing it that first time and just kind of getting it out of the way and then, kind of letting it hit you. Now you can go in another time, and for you guys that have seen it multiple times, each time you can kind of approach it differently as a viewer. You know what I'm saying? So
And you can
that's
catch extra stuff too. Like
yeah.
One of Stu's lines is in this movie. Right after we're in the shrine in the final scene, Detective Bailey says, he's like, "Oh, that's when when I saw the picture of what you'd done to Richie, that's when I knew you had to go. And anyone who got in our way, if you listen really closely, in the background, you hear Stu say, 'My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me.'" You actually hear that in the background.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't even know that. All right. I love that line. It's one of the best of all time, man. All right. Well, hey, for you guys in the live chat, thank you so much for hanging out. And you're welcome, Jason, and everyone else. We had a good time. So we will definitely catch you guys next time. Have a good night. Stay safe in the storm. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace out.
Peace.